Welcome to White Wisteria Academy, Interview with an Expert, taking a trip with Michele Robson. We live in interesting times in that we collectively had to take some break from traveling so frequently. I think it's a good time to take a fresh look at our traveling habits and see where we can improve. It's an opportunity to evaluate our travel and learn a few new tricks on the way. So I wanted to talk to Michele, who is by far the most well-traveled person I know. Michele has spent 27 years working in the travel industry, with a large proportion of that spent working in air traffic control. Her true passion has always been traveling in luxury for the lowest possible price. Following a successful kidney transplant in 2016, she decided to turn her hobby into a full-time job and launched the blog Turning Left for Less about luxury travel for less. The blog has been featured on Radio 4, Daily Mail, CNBC, and iNewspaper. Her areas of expertise are airline and hotel loyalty, frequent travel tips, as well as how to stay in finest hotels for less. Michele, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Glad to be here.
So Michele, there are so many areas of traveling that I would love to talk to you about, but let's focus on logistics of traveling. So when we are preparing for a trip and we are obviously packing, can you tell us what to pack and what not to pack?
So I think the first thing to take into consideration is to try and plan everything in advance so that you don't overpack. I'm a terrible overpacker, but I try and plan out what outfits I'm wearing every day rather than just throwing random things in. Try and have a plan for what you're going to wear. Are you going to go to a dinner? Is it going to just be work? Do you want clothes to relax in the hotel room? All those sort of things. Plan your outfits, think about the accessories that go with it, what shoes will go with it. Do you need things like gym kits? And once you've got a plan, get everything out. And then I recommend using packing cubes. These are essential, I think, for anyone that travels a lot, particularly if you move from hotel to hotel. They help compress your clothes. You can get some that are particularly compression ones, which are great if you like to take a lot of stuff. And what I do is I divide everything into categories. So I might have one cube for underwear, one for daytime outfits, and I roll everything because rolling takes up a lot less space and also it stops things from creasing, providing you roll it with it not creased. And then when you get to the hotel, what you can do is just put those cubes straight into the drawer. So it takes 2 minutes to unpack, and then you just hang stuff up as you need it, and you're not unpacking your whole case. And it's with everything in categories, you can find things really easily. And then also think about your electronics. I always have a luggage tracker, which is essentially if you're going to leave your luggage somewhere or if you're going to check it in, you really need one, particularly with connections. So the cheapest one is the AirTag by Apple, which is £29, really cheap, works well, providing it's nowhere remote because it works on other people's phones. And an adapter as well would be a good thing to pack. In terms of toiletries, I actually have a second set of toiletries because I travel so much. I keep them ready to go at all times. Being environmentally friendly, I like to get a set of empty jars, which you can get from Boots or any of Muji's great place to get things like that. And then I'll just top it up with my own things, which means I can take my own toiletries with me rather than relying on what's in the hotel. And also I would say things like shampoo bars, cleansing sticks, anything that's solid is great if you're going hand luggage only.
Okay, that sounds great. Can you tell us what luggage is the best?
So I would look for something that's, for a start, very lightweight and also that has a long guarantee. Because I used to buy cheaper luggage and I found I was getting through a case about every 9 months because airlines kept breaking them. And whilst it's nice to have a new case, it takes a lot of time at the airport trying to report it. You could be there for like 45 minutes. So ideally, try and get something really robust. I use some Samsonite because they're not massively expensive compared with some of the really premium brands, but some of them have lifetime guarantees or at least 10 years. And I've had one case now, I think for about 5 years, which for me is doing pretty good because some years I'll do 100 flights. So the fact that that's still going strong is really good. And then I'd have at least 2 or 3 sizes depending on what length of trips you're doing. And I'd have one that's hand baggage only. which you would look at the lightest and largest that will fit into the airline's bins, because every airline's slightly different. So make sure you pick a size that will fit everything. And then with the main suitcase, again, looking for lightweight and something a bit bigger that you would check in.
Fantastic. So would you say, are you more of a fan of check-in luggage or carry-on luggage?
It just depends. It depends on what my itinerary is. If I've got anything with tight connections or in an airport that I think they may not be very efficient, then I will take hand baggage only, because you can guarantee if you have a tight connection in a lot of places, you won't see your luggage again for a while. So think about what sort of flight you're doing. If it's point to point, then generally I'll check it in, unless I'm going to be in a hurry the other end, or I tend to look in advance at what the sort of stories are about immigration queues, because at the moment they're particularly bad. For example, in America, you can actually look at immigration data in advance, and then I might take hand luggage only because it's quicker, obviously, to get out. But if it's point to point, I just find it easier to just check it in. And then if you've got steps or whatever, you haven't got to carry a heavy bag up and down.
Yeah. Okay, sounds great. Is there any gadget that you can't travel without?
Well, the most important one is always, for me, an adapter. And it's not just one of the big chunky old ones that you used to see. I buy a very specific one that's much more lightweight. You can get ones now that have multiple USB ports, which is what you need to look for. It's how many USB devices do you want to plug in? Do you need a USB-C as well? And then these more modern ones, they're quite small, and what they have is different plug bits that actually slide on and off. So you don't need to take the whole thing with you. You can just put either the one you want on, or if you're going to 2 countries, then you can take the 2 bits that you need, and it takes up probably half the room of some of the traditional ones. So a really good adapter. I don't think you can live without one of those very easily. Well, you could maybe buy one in a store, but it wouldn't normally, when you're abroad, you wouldn't normally get all those USB points, and you quite often don't get USB points in hotels.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so I thought we are very well prepared for our trip. Now we're on the plane, window or aisle seat?
Well, like everything that I'm saying, it depends on the situation. So if I wanted to sleep, I would go for a window seat, because then you can put a pillow up against the window and lean on it to sleep, which is much better. If you're someone that is probably not going to sleep and you're likely to want to hop to the loo quite a lot, if you're someone who likes to stay hydrated with a lot of water, then I always go for the aisle seat, because trying to climb over 2 people to get out to the loo every half an hour, they're going to hate you. So.
Yes, totally. So actually, yeah, that brings me to my next question, because I was going to ask you how to stay hydrated during your flight.
So I normally take extra drinks with me. Of course, it depends what cabin you're in. If you're in business class, then you can pretty much get as much water as you want. If you're in economy, sometimes it's quite hard to get enough water, so I would always take some with me. I normally take coconut water because that actually has a more hydrating action on the body than pure water does, and I like the taste of it. So I quite often take some coconut water. You can also get special tablets now that are a bit like the sort of fizzy vitamin tablets, but they're specifically for flying. So sometimes I'll take that and pop that into a bottle of water just to give a bit of extra hydration. I think also people forget about, it's not just drinking water. You can find that you feel quite dehydrated, sort of in your nose, and your eyes can be tired. So I normally carry my hand luggage, moisturizing eye drops on a long flight, and also a saline nasal spray, which can make a big difference. And I just use those. And I also have a water mist that I just kind of spray around myself, providing obviously it's not too close to the person next to me.
Yeah.
And one other tip is actually, if you have a choice of flights, try and look for an A350 or that's an Airbus A350 or a Boeing 787 called the Dreamliner, because both of those modern aircraft have much better cabin atmospheres that are much more humid compared with an older aircraft. So that's also what I do.
Yeah, this is really good insight. So that kind of like actually told us a little bit how to actually get refreshed during your flight. And I know a lot of people take early flights, and then they have to be in top shape throughout the whole day when they are, for example, in the office or some other engagement. Do you have any other tips on how to stay refreshed and arrive in a good shape?
Well, I always think planning is key. So have a think about, how much sleep do you need to be able to keep going? And also, how long is it going to be before you get to bed again? It could be, say, if you were going to the Far East, quite often you'll arrive mid-afternoon, which is not so bad. And then you've only got a few hours to go to sleep. So I wouldn't have much sleep on the plane in that situation. Whereas if you're arriving early morning and you're going to have to go straight to work, then I would be looking to maximize my sleep. So I'd think about, could I eat in the airport beforehand so that I maximize my sleep? I would say I don't want to be disturbed for breakfast, and I would just sleep as much as possible. Normally, when I go to the US, I tend to get flights that get in sort of late afternoon. So I'll have an hour's sleep, maybe 2 on the plane, just to keep me going so that I stay up to a reasonable time when I get there. So yeah, it's all about thinking, what do you want to do when you get there? If you want to still sleep that night and you haven't got that long before you go to bed, don't sleep too much, because otherwise then you'll never sleep at night. If you've got a long day, then try and get as much as you can, and that will get you back into the sort of rhythm of the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. Any other tips on how to combat jet lag? That was, I think, related.
Yes, yeah. So one of the most important things is to try and get sunlight, which can be difficult if you're going straight into meetings. But if you can, for say half an hour, but in the morning, go out and get some sunshine or some sort of fresh air where you're in cloud, even is better than nothing, because that actually helps reset your body clock. Other than that, if you can actually buy something called melatonin in the UK now online, which only used to be in the US, and it's a natural hormone that your body secretes at night. So it basically tells your body it's time for sleep, and I actually use that when I travel. You just take a tablet at night, so that's worth considering. It doesn't, like, it's not like a sleeping tablet that knocks you out. It just tells your body it's time to think about going to sleep. So it does help you fall asleep more easily and stay asleep longer.
Yeah, fantastic. So we know how to combat jet lag. We have landed. What if we have forgotten something?
So my tip with that is, first of all, have a look in the airport, because if you remember when you're on the plane, as I quite often do, quite often airports have good little stores that sell all sort of things that you might have forgotten, particularly if you're going somewhere remote. Don't forget to look in the airport first. And then the hotel, depending on your hotel, most hotels do have a lot of spare things, like they quite often will have chargers, they have a toothbrush, toothpaste, those sort of essentials you can quite often get from most hotels.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. Okay, so now we have returned home, and I was wondering if you have any tips on unpacking. Should we unpack everything?
So I like to keep a bag full of things that are for traveling, such as the charger. I would use noise cancelling headphones, I talked about the earplugs, all that sort of thing. I keep them all together. So sometimes if I know the next trip coming up, I'm going to use the same suitcase, I'll just leave it in the suitcase, because why unpack it and then have to pack it again? And things like the travel toiletries we talked about, I'll generally leave those in there, or I might top them up and then put them back in. So if you're not going to use it at home and you're going to travel again, there's no point in taking it out. So just take the dirty stuff out and leave everything. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything that you discovered during your numerous travels that helps you to recover from a trip faster?
I think it's all about trying to get back into the rhythm of where you are again. So in terms of sleeping at normal times, getting up at normal times, try to be really strict. If you feel tired, but it's like 7 p.m, other than maybe the first day I might give in, but after that I'm really strict on, I will go set my waking time and my bedtime and stick to that. Otherwise you just perpetuate jet lag forever. So definitely do that. Again, it's back to the trying to reset your body clock, going out in the fresh air. Ideally in the morning is better, but if not, any time of day is better than nothing. And yeah, just trying to get back into your normal routine as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michele. These were just so useful tips and advice. I really learned a lot now. If people want to connect with you, where can we find you?
So the main website is www.turningleftforless.com, and we're also on Facebook with the same name, and Instagram, and on Twitter we're Turning Left For, and also we have a YouTube channel.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much, Michele, for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Michele and that you took away some useful tips. I most definitely learned a lot during this conversation. How does this apply to a CRA role? I think every CRA knows because CRAs travel so often. And very often you take an early morning flight and then you have to go straight to the site to perform a site visit that is very intense. And as Michele was saying, always try to plan, be prepared to how your day is going to look like, stay hydrated, try to do some things that will help you to stay refreshed throughout your flight so that you are more energetic when you land. When it comes to packing and unpacking, you heard Michele was saying a lot of tips about how to pack, but also when you are unpacking, don't unpack everything. Maybe have a kind of toiletries bag and maybe some electronics that you will always have in your suitcase because you need them for every trip. So that will kind of also cut down the time for you to unpack and pack again. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you took away some valuable tips from my conversation with Michele. You can find more tips in our monthly newsletter, so make sure you sign up on our website, www.whitewisteriaacademy.com, and follow us on social media. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at White Wisteria Academy. Thank you so much and speak to you soon.